Hey, it's DC Coin World here. You ever have one of those days? Well, today's one of those days for me. This is our third try at doing a live video for Where's Britannia? And we had this kind of concept that we would say, where is Britannia, who was on British coins in some sense since the year 154 of the modern era. And then I did a video and I had it facing wrong. So it was facing kind of sideways and you couldn't see it. And then I did another video uh, which lasted for over 10 minutes. And as soon as I finished my second version of the live video, I pressed the delete button rather than the load button and I lost that one. So this is my third version of Where's Britannia? And I got to say that if that's the only problem I have, that's not a bad problem compared to some of the problems that people have right now in the world. And I think one of the things that our coin channel does is it kind of gives people other things to think about and other things to do, and maybe have a little fun with it. And what we originally were trying to say was that the 50 pence coin that came out in 2008 with the shield reverse, and this is it right here if I can get it to stabilize. It's a beautiful reverse coin, but it did something that hadn't been done in the modern era with British coins, and that is it was the first year that there were no Britannias on the back of British coins. The first year in the sense that there are no circulating Britannias except for some old 50p coins. And when I talk about Britannia, of course, I'm talking about this image right here and some other images that are very like it. So this coin has Britannia seated, and she has an olive branch in her hand. She has a lion at her feet. It says 50 pence at the top and 50, the number 50 at the bottom. This coin here was made until 2009. This is, of course, a 2008 version, as you can see. It's the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and the Ian Rank Broadley portrait, and you can see the IRB right down there underneath her neck. If you're not sure which portrait this is, just look for the IRB right there. And the back of this is a Christopher Ironsides Britannia, which first came out in 1984. Now, when the 50 pence coin first came out in 1984, as part of decimalization, it was a bigger 50 pence coin. So let's take a look at the difference. When I say bigger, I mean bigger. So this is the new 50p. This is the original 50p that came out in 1984. And this is actually the 1984 version. Again, it says 50 at the top, pence here, holding the olive branch, wearing the helmet, the trident behind her, the lion in front of her at her feet, and the shield of Britain here. A couple things on that are on every Britannia back or reverse are the shield and the trident and the helmet. But let's look at these over time. So if this 50 pence coin only came out in 1984, what was there before decimalization? Well, before decimalization, of course, and it's hard to remember, they had the 1 penny coin with Britannia on it. Now, if you look at this, again, you see there's a trident, which I said is on all of them. There's the helmet, which is on all of them. There's the shield of Britain, which is on all of them. And here's the ocean, which is on all of them. But this is a lighthouse. Now, if you remember the 50p coin, there is no lighthouse, and the ocean is not it's not essentially visible. So, lighthouse on the old one, no lighthouse on the 50p. If we look down in here, we see that you can actually see her feet really well. She has the helmet, but her helmet is a little bit different than the Christopher Ironsides version. You can just see a little differences in how the helmet, how that falls down in there. So this 1 penny coin was 1967. The last year they made the large 1 penny, and that 1 penny coin had Britannia on the back, until the early, and since the early 1800s. So let's take a look at some of the other Britannias on here. So this is Queen Elizabeth the Second, and if we look at this one, we see that, oh, it's the Mary Gillick portrait, the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This Mary Gillick portrait here, and she's just young. I think she's 28 or 29. She has the ribbon in her hair and the laureate wreath. And this portrait came out on the 1 penny first in 1953, changed slightly, the wording did, in 1954, but this is the Queen Elizabeth one. If we look at this one, this is actually her father, and that's the 1938 one, and this is the George VI. Now, of course, George VI in 1938 was also the Emperor of India, and so that was on his coins, a little bit different writing. And George VI had a lighthouse also, and the ocean in front, the trident, the helmet, the shield. What about George VI's father? Well, let's see if we can find one of his coins, and here's a 1920 version of Victoria. Hey, wait a second, we're missing something back here. There's no lighthouse on the 1920 coin. There is the ocean in front. There is the trident, the helmet, the shield. But on the 1920 1 penny coin for George V, there is no lighthouse. So George V didn't have a lighthouse on any of his coins. George VI did have a lighthouse on his coins. Queen Elizabeth II did have a lighthouse on her coins. So who comes before then? Well, let's see if we can find another older one and see what's on that one. There's a 1909 here. Look at this 1909. It's a 1 penny. And if we look behind the seated Britannia, we see that there is not anybody back here. There's no lighthouse in front of the back. There is the shield. There is the trident. There is the helmet. We flip it over. We see that this isn't George V even. This is Edward VII, who's facing to the right. If we go even further back, we find a really interesting coin. And this, of course, is the Queen Mother, Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth's grandmother. And on this coin, she is the Empress, of course, of India. And if we look on the back of this coin, we see a trident, we see a helmet, we see a shield, and guess what? No lighthouse, nothing there. Well, there is one other change that we need to look at, and that is in the prior Queen Victoria coins, and this is a 1890, not only is Britannia seated with a lighthouse behind her, but she has a ship in front of her. And remember, this is the era where Britannia ruled the waves. So here's Britannia. She's got her trident, she's got her helmet, she's got her shield, she's got a lighthouse behind her, she's got a ship in front of her. And you can see that it looks much like the Golden Hind. I don't know if it is. And it says 1890 here. And how far back did this go? Well, we know that that it went back to, let's see. Oh, here's an 1862, and there's a ship, and there's a lighthouse right there. Kind of hard to see the lighthouse in the 1862. It's Britannia with the trident up here somewhere, with the shield behind her. And so the Britannia on British coins, we have them back to 1862. It actually went back to probably around 150 AD. It is a Roman version of or a Latin version of the Britain word for island, which was, when it was Latinized or Romanized, it was called Britannia. And so that's where Britannia comes from. So there's an 1862. Here's a 1900 without it. Here's a 1909. Here's a 1920 with Britannia. There's a 1938 with Britannia. There's a 1967 with Britannia. And of course, that one has our modern Queen on there. And then here is a 50 pence coin. The first 50 pence coin from 1984 has Britannia, but no lighthouse and no ship. And of course, that's this is the real expensive coin because they only made this 1 year with the second portrait, the Arnold Machen portrait on the 50p coin. So this is a proof version of the 1984 50p coin with the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the Arnold Machen portrait, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And then, of course, we have still on the 50p coin up until the year 2008. And then we have the modern 50p coins where they've gone to the shield reverse and a number of other reverses. And they've actually taken the number 50 off these. Nowhere on this modern 50 pence coin does it say the number 50. And this, of course, is the Ian Rank Broadley portrait. It says the word 50, 50 pence, but it doesn't say the number 50. All right, that's all we have today from the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. Thanks for watching our channel. Sorry it took us so long to get it semi-right. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel.